My people. So, the first epistle of Paul the Apostle to Timothy that we just visited, I wanted to say something briefly. In me breaking down chapter 1, verses 5, 6, and 7, I mentioned that you cannot obtain righteousness through the following of the law. To my newcomers in this faith, in this beautiful walk, I want you to understand this does not mean that the law is done away with. You understand what I'm saying? When I say that you cannot obtain righteousness through the following of the law, or that you are not justified by the following of the law, I am not saying that the law is done away with, because I say exactly what I mean, and I mean exactly what I say. I'm not speaking in dark sayings or in parables where it's hard to understand what I'm saying. I'm saying exactly what I'm saying. And I want to emphasize that emphatically so that no one is confused. When I mention that you cannot obtain righteousness or be justified by the following of the law, that is exactly what I'm saying. That means that if you are looking to obtain or attain righteousness through the following of the law, that it is by your own hand that you are rendered righteous. When the scriptures blatantly tell us that it is not by our own works that we are considered to be righteous. It is by us following what the Most High tells us to do, and then also the grace or the ordaining that the Most High has on you from the beginning. That is what considers you to be righteous or brings you into justification before the Lord. So when I say that you cannot be justified by following the law, or that you are not considered or rendered or counted righteous by following the law, that is exactly what I'm saying. This is not to say that the law is done away with, once again. And I say this to say, when I make mention to keep in mind the law, yes, we keep in mind the law. We never throw the law away. We never throw the law out like it's something forgotten, like it's not enforced, like it does not exist, because it still exists. The thing is, we have to remember that the law was put in place for us to be able to recognize and to see what is good and what is bad, what is righteous and what is wicked. It helps us to determine left from right. That is the reasoning for the law, not for us to attain righteousness or justification in the following of. You understand? So the law will never be done away with because it is in the force of the Most High, who is in existence forever. The Lord will never die. So the law will never die. It will continually, generations upon generations, continually be in force. But this is not the thing in which you attain righteousness or justification by. It is by you being obedient and doing what the Most High tells you to do, having faith. That is what deems you or renders you or has you counted as a righteous woman, a righteous man, a righteous child. So again, keep in mind the law as you study to show yourself approved and become steadfast in your faith, confidence, belief, and trust in the word of the Most High, which will make you be obedient to what he is saying unto you. And that is what renders you righteous. That is what renders you blameless. That is where you are found justified. That is what you're justified in, not you following the law. Because you are not justified by your own works. You understand? So again, repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Never cease prayer, bind and loose, and always live ready. Keep in mind the law. as you proactively become steadfast in your faith, your confidence, your trust, and belief in the word of the Most High, to grow more obedient in what the Lord is saying. Shalom.